gentlemen, turn your speakers up. It's time for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Turn up the bass. A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE. Oh yeah! Let's meet the hosts. First, a man hailing from the hub city in Indiana. He goes by @TooSweetKyle on Twitter. The host, Kyle Gagliardi. And your co-host, hailing from the Valley of Lake Tahoe. He goes by @JimTuck89 on Twitter. Jim Tucker. And last but not least, hailing from the cornfield somewhere in Indiana, the full-time part-timer, Ian Garavaglia. Turn up the bass. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram @PodOnTheMark.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I'm your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi. And joining me this evening is my co-host, my good friend, the full-time part-timer, Ian Garavaglia. Ian, what's up, dog?
What's up, dog? I've had an interesting afternoon after work. Got back to the apartment. It smelled like absolute... I'm not going to start it off with a cuss word.
Gas?
Yeah, let's say that. I'm not going to start it off with a cuss word. I know, YouTube algorithm. But got home, did not smell great, so freshened up the entire room. Worked out over there, did some nice planks, a lot of push-ups, and then started getting calls about my credit card having fraud. So, I don't know if the fraud is calling me. I don't know. Nothing is showing up on my account that looks bad, so I am exhausted, but I'm excited to talk wrestling.
Hey, they did call you Fraudavalia at one point of your wiffle ball career, so I guess it makes sense that you got hit with credit card fraud. So hopefully you figure that out before this weekend, because we are here for Wrestlemania, of course, the second biggest podcast of the year. And originally we had advertised that Erica would be returning, but unfortunately she was unable to make it. She had a dinner that she could not skip out on. But we will get Erica back on the show very shortly, maybe even to recap it next year or next week. Who knows? But we also are without Jim Tucker. I know I once again said he would be back, but baseball season's in full swing, Ian. This is what happens, and this is why we got 3 co-hosts, right?
Yeah, it's a rotating cast, but it right now we're just the A and B at the moment. C is actually I'm the C. I'm not gonna put myself in the B category. No, B has been gone for an amount of time, but we understand that. Baseball coach, he's a busy man and had the promotion going into this year, building a good program over there.
That's right. Don't worry, guys. Tuck's still a part of the show. And make sure you're following our boy @JimTuck89 to keep up with what's going on with him. But Eric's got a question for us to start. Kyle, who's your favorite baseball team? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's actually the rival of my co-host team. I'm a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals, which means Ian is a fan of the Chicago Cubs, who just unfortunately lost today, right?
Shut up.
I mean, you're still in first place, right?
That is true. We are in first place.
Okay. You got that going for you. But hey, we got a lot of things going on, so let's quickly get to our plugs before we bring in Aaron to talk about this WrestleMania card. Guys, we have a discount code right now for all the merchandise at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. Ian, this is the best way for them to support the podcast, because all proceeds that we make from this website go directly back into the show. Why don't you tell them a little bit of what we have to offer on our merch site?
Well, still our latest release, and one that I personally designed myself, so make my heart feel whole if you did buy one yourself. It is the Poppin' Large t-shirt. It's become kind of the catchphrase. Hasn't been said in a while, actually, now that I think of it, so I'll throw it in at some point. But
we're popping large this weekend, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have the newly redesigned, I should say, OTM hats, baseball hat. Mine is over there. I just showered, so I'm not putting a hat on. Not getting hat hair today. But we also have the tapestry right over to our right shoulder of your side, right there, right where you're pointing.
Nailed it. See, that's why you got to watch, because you got to see what we're pointing at and stuff. You can see all the good stuff that we have to offer at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. If you use promo code MANIA this weekend, you will save 10% off of your order. And of course, guys, we have plenty of main event moves going down this week at the Main Event Wrestling Network. You could see Ian's reaction right there. Not one, not two, but 3 main event mixers coming your way this weekend. As you can see on the screen right now, Friday the 18th, we will be live before SmackDown. I will be joined by my co-host of NXT Night Shift, Jay Gold, and one half of the Wrestling Junkies podcast, the podcast dad. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. Will be joining us as well. And then Saturday, we'll be previewing Night 1. Sunday on 420/Easter, we will be recapping Night 1 and previewing Night 2. Ian, there's no excuse for them to not get in on these main event moves. Am I right?
Yeah, no. If you want to hear about wrestling and talk about wrestling and chat about wrestling in the chat you guys are in right now while listening,
like Lily,
join us. Yeah, we love to have you guys in the chats. We say it all the time. You guys make this podcast what it is and how fun it could be. So why not join us for the ride?
Yeah, and like the Great Brown Hope said, if you are in a legal consumption state, you can even wake and bake with us on Sunday because it is a holiday. It's more of a holiday for us for 420 than it is Easter. I'm not a big religious guy. At least I'm not. I don't know about you.
I think my family pretends to be, just so we could say, yeah, I'm going home. By the way, breaking news, not breaking news, I've said it before, but I will have my dogs not for next week's episode. I might not be there for next week's episode. We'll talk about it later.
That's okay.
But we'll have the dogs here eventually, so we'll have the dogs on camera at some point. You guys get to meet them with me.
I can't wait. I love Wyatt. Big fan of Wyatt. Joe says this is going to be a hell of a weekend, so much wrestling. He cannot wait for Cody and John Cena. And happy early birthday to Eric, who is going to be at WrestleMania, celebrating it there. That's the best way to spend your birthday, right, Ian?
Yeah. Eric, I'll tell you what, every single birthday for the past 3 years, it was at a wrestling event, and I had a great fucking time. So have fun. Don't spend too much money while you're in Vegas, or do. I don't know. Just have fun while you're doing it.
Hey, maybe Eric's loaded. Maybe he's got deep pockets, and maybe he's going to enjoy himself. He probably is, because it's WrestleMania. You know they're going to deliver, even though the build has been questionable for some people, like our special guest who has his gripes. Ladies and gentlemen, rejoining the show once again. He has been on this show this year, actually. I think it was just a couple months ago. He's back. He is the self-proclaimed OTM glue guy. Aaron Oro's in the house. Aaron, how we doing?
Feeling good. I'm not self-proclaimed. That's just I am the glue guy. Just come on, glue this thing together, baby. Let's rock and roll. I'm ready for some WrestleMania talk.
You know what's crazy, Aaron? I went back into the archives of when we started our YouTube coverage of professional wrestling, and actually on this date, I think it was 15 years ago, we had our very first predictions video, and here we are once again reunited 15 years later talking about WrestleMania. Isn't that cool?
Was that the stairwell of that hotel in India that we were at, or am I thinking of a different time?
You're thinking of Survivor Series. That was after we saw the Shield debut.
That's right. Right.
That's a fun fact for you, Ian. He was there with me at that Survivor Series when the Shield debuted and attacked John Cena.
That's pretty sick. Who's the Shield? I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I think they're a big part of professional wrestling right now. One's the head of AEW. He's their world champion. The other two are in a match in the main event, I think, of Night 1. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, don't you worry. We'll teach you about wrestling here on this podcast. So, Aaron, thanks again for joining us, guys. I say we just get right into it because there is plenty of matches to talk about. And, guys, if you're watching this live, please interact, share your predictions. And if you have questions for us, let us know, because when we say it's by the marks, for the marks, we mean it. You guys are equally a part of this show. And, by the way, we are on the road to 500 subscribers. I believe currently we sit at 427. Not a bad number, Ian, but if they just tell one person, we can get there by WrestleMania.
Hey, and like I said last episode, if you go to a gym, go to a movie theater, go anywhere in public, go to McDonald's, fuck it, wear a wrestling shirt. Somebody will notice that wrestling shirt, and you will be shocked how many people come up to you and say, oh, do you watch wrestling too? Oh, do you listen to podcasts? Oh, have you ever heard of this one called On the Mark Wrestling Podcast? It's happened to me way too many times. So just have fun with spreading the word.
Exactly. And we're having a lot of fun over here at OTM and the main event. Let's go to Saturday, night one of WrestleMania. And we're going to start with a tag team match that I'm kind of confused with. I mean, I'm not confused on why the match is happening, because trust me, once the New Day turned heel, I think we all saw that this was the direction they were probably going in, that New Day would probably win the titles at WrestleMania. But you look over on the other side of things, Ian, on SmackDown, they've spent plenty of months building that SmackDown tag team division. The Street Profits, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, Pretty Deadly, just to name a few. And those guys aren't on the card, but this tag team match is on the card. That doesn't sit right with me. I don't know how you feel about this situation.
To answer that question, I think it's as simple as this feud was developing on Netflix. That would be my guess. Is most of the people that have been watching wrestling, the common populace, has been through Netflix. So that would be my guess. They're trying to appease towards, again, I've been saying it all year, appease towards that fresh audience that just came in with Netflix coming in this year. That would be my only guess. But yes, absolutely. The New Day, I was excited for the heel turn, so ready for it. It was hot when it happened, and then it just kind of got left out to dry. And okay, cool, we've gotten here eventually, but I think it's way too late for this push. Again, hopefully we have something that sparks up this run. I think they win the titles, but I don't know. Yeah, this match could have been more important than it really is. Also, not having them wrestle really on a weekly basis has hurt them.
Never, yeah.
The backstage cameos is really okay. It helps War Raiders develop, at least from a character perspective. They at least have some attributes to them. Sure. I do like that, but yeah, it doesn't entice me right now. Not anymore.
No, and I think that's a fair take. So your official prediction on this match, though, is that the New Day is going to walk out as the new tag team champions?
Yep.
Fair enough. Aaron, I don't know if you actually have seen much of the New Day's heel run so far, or the heel turn itself, but tell me how you felt about this new presentation of the New Day, and then who do you think is going to walk away with those tag team titles?
Well, it's something needed to change, obviously, because unfortunately, I mean, we can leave it up to speculation, but I don't know if Big E's ever going to be able to come back. So they needed to make a change. I think ultimately what this comes down to is what's WWE's priority with the tag team division right now, and I think it comes down to pushing this heel New Day, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, making a big time heel turn. And this was just, hey, we need to put them in a championship match so that they can win the belts and we can get rolling with this heel run. So I think it just came down to prioritizing. I mean, obviously, like you said on SmackDown, those builds with those tag teams have been a lot better. But I think WWE's main priority here is, all right, we got the New Day heel. I like you guys have said, they haven't done a whole lot in the ring, but now it's time to get them the belts, which I think is what's going to happen. And then they roll with this heel run that they got going. So that's all I think that it comes down to. It's unfortunate for the tag team division in a whole, but I just think WWE's number one priority, my guess, their number one priority right now at the tag team division is to get the New Day's belt and run with the heel turn. So that's what I anticipate.
And I liked Ian's point, too, earlier. Maybe it has to do with the fact that they are on Netflix. That would make a lot more sense because more people probably have the streaming service of Netflix than do just regular cable television nowadays.
Which is crazy to say.
And let's be honest, too. I mean, the New Day are probably, the most popular tag team that's still together right now.
Yeah.
I mean, so it makes sense in that regard, too. But
and that Las Vegas crowd is probably going to be full of casuals because that's an entertainment city. And the ticket prices, we've seen them. You got to have a lot of money to go to this show. So there's going to be a lot of people that maybe aren't as diehard as some of us podcasters are. So, but New Day is somebody you see all the time. We see their commercials. Xavier Woods has up, up, down, down. They're just a more popular name, and it's unfortunate for the War Raiders because they just got repackaged. They just returned as a team, and now they're just running into this brand new heel team that you guys said is one of the greatest teams of all time. There's no way I see the War Raiders walking out of this match with the titles. So it's going to be a clean sweep to start us off here. Unfortunately, we think the New Day rocks, at least on WrestleMania Night 1. We're going with the New Day to become the new Raw Tag Team Champions, which then will take us to a very interesting matchup that was just announced, I believe, a couple weeks ago on SmackDown. It's going to be LA Knight defending his United States Championship versus the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. And Aaron, I know you have seen Jacob Fatu and seen how much of a presence he has brought to WWE over the past year. And another thing that's crazy about all this is that Jacob Fatu was working the independents last WrestleMania weekend. Here he is on this year's WrestleMania card for a mid-card title, which is pretty significant, Aaron. So how do you see this one shaking out?
Again, I think the last time I was on, I think it was the Royal Rumble before or after, where we talked about, WWE, they got to make new stars. And Jacob Fatu is that. And I think he's proven that in his short term here. And what do you do to validate new stars? You put them in championship matches and you give them championship belts. And so naturally, I know we talked off of this that, we might see Solo get involved, and that kind of makes me a little hesitant in picking Jacob Fatu because I think he's going to win. But now that you add that Solo aspect, does he cost him? And then they do something untitled belt related with those two. But I'm going to go with my gut and say that Jacob Fatu wins just because I think they want to validate his run, validate who he is as an up-and-coming star. And you do that by giving them a title belt that he can defend. So that would be my guess. The Solo thing, it does make things a little interesting. But I think, I think it's perfectly fine. Give him his belt now and roll with it. So that's what I'm going with.
Fair enough. I mean, there's not enough good things I can say about Jacob Fatu and what he has done over the past year in the WWE. To say he doesn't deserve it would be asinine because he definitely does deserve this moment. He does deserve that title. My only thing that's holding me back, though, is that LA Knight just recently regained that strap by defeating Shinsuke Nakamura. That Nakamura run just did not work. And LA Knight really hasn't really picked back up on that steam, in my opinion, at least. I mean, he's still getting good reactions from the crowd, but the Solo Sikoa of it all really has me in a pickle here because I could see him trying to help Jacob Fatu and just accidentally costing him the match. And then that's how you set up that feud going forward. Because eventually Jacob and Solo are going to have to butt heads. I think that's going to happen. But I'm actually going to agree with Aaron on this one. And maybe I'm betting with my heart because I think the smart pick would be going with LA Knight in this match, but I want to see it. Put the strap on Jacob Fatu. I know Umaga is a relative of Fatu. That's the guy that he kind of reminds me of. And Umaga was mainly known for his United States Championship run. So it would be very fitting for Jacob Fatu to win that as his very first title at WrestleMania. So, Ian, it might be an upset. Maybe it's not, but I'm going with Jacob Fatu in this match. What about you?
Where my mind immediately goes is to what they could be building towards SummerSlam as well, because people forget SummerSlam is pretty close right after.
2 nights, too.
Yeah, so we got a big card to build for there. And how do you get there is making the most feuds out of Mania. As you said, LA Knight just won this title not too long ago. It's been a minute. Like it wouldn't, if the title reign ended now, it wouldn't be known as one of the shortest reigns ever.
Sure.
I think there are people that could contend for that title after this match, and it would be a pretty fun feud. And putting that title on a guy like Jacob Fatu in his first ever title reign in WWE would be kind of bold strategy to try to build that feud. And all of this kind of culminating, especially with Solo Sikoa probably getting involved in this match, probably costing Jacob Fatu or helping him. I am going to lean towards the side of he will cost him, and it will be that feud going into SummerSlam. I don't think it needs to have a title to be a big match. Maybe it does, but I genuinely don't think it does. That bloodline story.
Well, it could essentially be the new Tribal Chief story.
Yeah.
Because Roman doesn't have... You can't be a Tribal Chief if you don't have a tribe.
Right.
He doesn't have a tribe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go with LA Knight to retain. I'm not confident with that pick at all. But I don't think Jacob needs the title right now. Absolutely needs something. It's not going to help him in any regard. But again, the fan side of me, if he won the title, I would be ecstatic.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody would really be mad if Jacob Fatu won this title. And there's a lot of LA Knight fans out there. I don't know how I feel about him as of late. It's kind of getting boring and stale to me. But then again, that's just one guy. Who knows? But Jacob Fatu winning the title, I think, would be money. So Aaron and I are going with Fatu to become the new U.S. champion. and Ian's going with LA Knight to retain,
Yeah.
which will take us to our first non-title match we're going to talk about on WrestleMania. This one's got a lot of heat behind it. Jade Cargill obviously was taken out by Naomi. Naomi was a tag team champion with Bianca because of it, and that's where this all stemmed from. And it's honestly one of the best builds, I think, going into this year's WrestleMania card. And it's interesting because this is also the first non-title women's match, I believe, in 20-something years, which is crazy to think about. And I think it's the first match that doesn't have a stipulation ever that's involved without a title. Don't quote me on that, but at least that's what I've read. But regardless, a lot of heat behind this one. I'm really conflicted because I think you can make a case for both of these women to win this match. I mean, Naomi just turned heel, and she's doing some great things, but I think I'm going to go with Jade Cargill in this one. Just because she just recently returned. I believe she has never won a singles match at WrestleMania. I'm trying to remember what she did last year. If she even had anything on WrestleMania. Did she?
I don't think so.
I'm having a brain fart, chat, so you're going to have to...
Were
Tag
her and
match.
Bianca in a tag team?
Yeah, they won the titles.
Okay. So this is their first singles match at WrestleMania. I'm going to go with Jade to win this. I think Naomi can still attack Jade after the match, and they can still have like a trilogy going forward. And don't be surprised if Bianca gets back in to this feud as well. So my pick's going to be Jade Cargill in this one, Ian.
Yeah, I want to say Naomi, but also the smart side of me says the entire thing is just to build up Jade. The entire feud was too. And I don't think it's going to completely culminate here. We still have a hot heel in Naomi. And I mean, a Naomi win as a heel, okay, cool. But what is that ceiling for that character? You're not going to move past Jade storyline-wise. It's not going to revolve around a title. And having Jade win, I mean, just in general, a singles match at any pay-per-view, awesome. Or sorry, PLE, is incredible. That's awesome for Jade at WrestleMania. That is insane for Jade. That's a really good win for her to have her notch under her belt. I think this is all just culminating for everything coming into this, the Naomi heel turn, just to build up Jade. Let's go Jade for her first victory, singles victory at WrestleMania.
There we go, Aaron. You going to make it a clean sweep for us?
Yeah, this is tough because I
It
feel like
is.
WWE's kind of on a tightrope, like you've alluded to. You know, Naomi's on a turns heel. She's doing great heel work, and do they reward that great heel work with a win against Jade? And then vice versa, you have Jade, the next probably big rising star in the women's division, who needs to start getting some momentum behind her to start putting her in like title pictures. So I feel like WWE will get creative here. I feel like they'll do a good job of making both look strong because obviously you don't want to ruin the momentum of either one. But I think again, this all comes down to making new stars, and that's what Jade is. So I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if she wins and then Naomi beats the crap out of her, or there's many ways that they can get creative there that they can make both look strong. So hopefully that's what they do. But I'm going with the clean sweep as well. I think Jade, she's on a rocket ship, and I think this will start to propel it here. Win it.
Yeah, and I still wouldn't be surprised if Naomi won. I don't think any of us would be. And I wouldn't be mad about it either. So, I mean, it's a toss-up.
Jade wins by a disqualification or something. Who knows?
I mean,
can go that
I know
route.
people probably wouldn't like that booking.
Right.
They like.
I mean, I would not be upset with it. I genuinely don't want this feud to end after Mania. There are many legs for this feud to go. And if it ends up culminating at SummerSlam, I know I already said that before with the Fatu feud, but if it culminates there, that's fine. There's still so much story to tell with this whole Jade Naomi situation. Like I said,
100%.
Bianca still needs to be involved too.
She does, and I agree with what Eric's saying as well. He said that it feels like this is sink or swim for Jade. If she looks great, full steam ahead. If not, then you might have to start reevaluating some things. But also, looks like Dirk Vogus in the house. He's starting it off with evening. Go Seth. Dirk, that's a great name.
Well, anybody named Dirk sounds like a stand-up individual.
What a name, right? Dirk Van Fleet.
People forget Ian asked Chris Van Vliet a question live. Ian, you're a
That's true.
superstar.
I don't remember what the question was. I'm going to be honest.
You said, who's the jokester in the Judgment Day?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And he just goes, Dom, duh.
That was probably the easy answer right there. Well, speaking of Dom, let's talk about his deadbeat father, who has a matchup against one of the greatest luchadors in the history of Lucha Libre, El Grande Americano, who might be Chad Gable, might not be. Who really knows? Obviously, it has been Chad Gable at times. We're not stupid, but this match itself is getting a lot of heat for just being on the card, Ian. Before I ask for your prediction, I'm not mad that this match made the card. I just think there is other matches that could have been on this card instead of this one, but at the same time, how can you leave Rey Mysterio off WrestleMania?
Yeah, I'm not mad at this at all. The LWO stuff was not working, and it has not been working for a very long time. No, as much as people want to say they give a shit, the crowds don't give a shit. The live crowds don't give a shit. It's a snooze fest during LWO segments. I'm sorry to say it, but it is.
It is.
And since introducing this El Grande Americano face, it's been entertaining, to say the least. And like you said, how do you leave Rey Mysterio while he could still wrestle? Why would you leave him off the WrestleMania card? And sorry to say, but Chad Gable, I know, not really Chad Gable, I'm sorry, but he deserves to be on this card. What he's been doing over the past few years has been fantastic. Everything building up with the Jey Usos match last year and his part in that, fantastic as well. He deserves this spot. El Grande Americano deserves a spot. And I don't know who I'm going to predict for this one. I mean, actually, no, I do. It's going to be Rey Mysterio, but not to take away from the feud, it's been very entertaining, and it 100% deserves to be on this Mania card.
And do you think that this should have been like a mask versus mask, or is that maybe something they'll revisit down the line?
I think it's just they're gonna take off the mask regardless.
I'm with you there,
it's gonna end.
Yeah. Eric Douglas said, never forget, El Grande has beaten Will Ospreay, Tanahashi, Jay White, Takeshita, Okada, all with a torn ACL. Yeah, this guy is the greatest luchador of all time. He's a big deal, Aaron. Have you ever heard of him? Are you familiar?
Not really, but
Who you got?
well, I mean, again, like I went down the old internet trail, and I started seeing people with they're doing their little conspiracy stuff where one of the matches that he was in, he had like a back tattoo, and then throughout the point he didn't, and they're trying to hint that it could be two different people. I don't know. I really don't. I know Chad Gable's one of them. And in terms of like deserving to be on it, Chad Gable's been doing some great work, and I think this is kind of a homage to all that. But yeah, I don't see Rey Mysterio losing this one. Just a credit to all-time great. I don't know how much he's got left. So, and then like Ian said, I think they'll do the whole mask reveal, and it'll either be Chad Gable or it's not. I don't know how you can make two people look like Chad Gable, but maybe
somebody under the ring, maybe.
God,
I don't know.
insane.
Who knows? Yeah, that would be pretty.
It's Hornswoggle.
Yeah. So who knows? But yeah, I'm going with the clean sweep here with Ray. I think that's who. That's who's. Oh,
I didn't say my pick yet. I could go with the greatest luchador of all time.
You could,
but I'm not going to. A lot of people are picking El Grande Americano, which is shocking to me because I think this literally was just like a brief gimmick that they were doing just as a vehicle to get to this match. If that makes any sense. Like, that's the only reason why he became El Grande Americano, is because he was always going to face off against Rey Mysterio. And you're not going to have, no offense to Chad Gable, but you're not going to have him playing a luchador defeat one of the greatest real luchadors of all time in Rey Mysterio. It's just, I don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a great match. We're going to have fun. It's okay, guys. Don't take it too seriously. It's going to be good. But we're all going with Rey Mysterio to win this matchup right here. So, Aaron, I get to have an interesting match for you to start us off with, because this match has got a lot of buzz on the internet. Some good, some bad. As I was in person for that SmackDown where things went off the rails, this feud itself has gotten very personal, Aaron, as I'm sure you know. Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble. That's how we got to this spot. But this is a dream match. This is a matchup that a lot of people have wanted to see, and I still think it's going to be good. But how do you feel about the build so far, Aaron? Because it's gotten a lot of scrutiny, and who do you think's walking away with the title?
Yeah, this one's interesting. I think I heard Bully Ray on Busted Open, and I don't know when he said this, but it might have been like a live reaction right after that SmackDown happened. But he was basically like, "Well, this is my new number one match to see at WrestleMania after things got awfully personal." From what I understand, that wasn't planned, and it really spiced this one up. Which I
It
mean,
needed.
it did. It did. A lot of these feuds and on this WrestleMania card needed kind of a little kick in the butt, and this one did it. And this is kind of a tough spot because you have, and I know Kyle shares this opinion, the greatest of all time, Charlotte Flair, against a new up and coming star. It's what WWE is trying to do, and Tiffany Stratton. I think Charlotte takes it because with her being the heel, I think this is a way you get a lot more heat on her. And she runs the greatest of all time, gets the belt, runs the heel run, and she can do anything with everybody. So thinking that's where they're going to go. I think they just want as much heat on Charlotte as possible, just so that she can be not just one of the better women heels, one of the better heels period in the industry. So that's the route I think I'm going. I think she takes it, and they ride that heel wave with her.
I like what you're saying, Aaron. I do. And you know what? I've been saying it for months. Ian knows. I called my shot early with this one. Charlotte Flair is going to defeat Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. Get used to it, guys. It's inevitable. The GOAT is going to get her title back. But let me calm the Tiffany fans down. Like, oh, Tiffany needs this moment. She's the young up and comer. Imagine what a win could do over Charlotte at WrestleMania. That's true. But let's be real here. In my opinion, Tiffany's run as champion has not been that great. I haven't been fully convinced. And once again, I just don't think she's a babyface. I think she's just a natural heel. We saw it in NXT. NXT Tiffany Stratton was peak, which is crazy to say because she still has a high ceiling in the WWE and is going to be a multiple time world champion. But going off of what Aaron is saying, if Charlotte wins the title at WrestleMania, it's not only going to generate more heat for Charlotte, who's one of your most pure heels, like Aaron said, but it's also going to get more support behind Tiffany Stratton. Everybody and their mother is going to want to see Tiffany Stratton defeat Charlotte Flair. Ian, you talked about it earlier. We're just going to keep connecting dots here. SummerSlam, 2 nights. You need a big main event. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, night 1 of SummerSlam, could main event, in my opinion. So going off of that, Charlotte Flair is going to get that title back. I'm very confident on this one, but it's going to be okay, guys. I'm just going to calm everybody down because I know everybody hates Charlotte. It's just greatness hate. It's okay. Embrace the booze. Charlotte Flair's winning. Ian, go ahead.
I don't have much to add on, as I do agree that Flair is taking the title, and I think they're just kind of leaning into the whole "it's not going to work for me, brother" attitude, and that's kind of her character at this point. I mean, when they came in, when Flair returned, it was supposed to be a babyface. Like, that was supposed to be a good guy return. I genuinely think that. And they did not get the reception that they wanted, and they had to adjust. And this adjustment has not been good, necessarily. I have been critical of this feud as the promos don't necessarily make me think, I can't wait to see these women fight in a match. I just think of, oh, God, this is really awkward. I don't want to watch this anymore. That's not necessarily the attention you really want to get, and you have that at times. I don't know. I don't want to restate all the shit we said about the promos in the past, but as of now, I think Tiffany needs a reset. I think Charlotte needs a reset. Just momentarily, they could revisit this feud, bring both of the women back, and say, hey, we are going to redo this. We're going to run it into SummerSlam. We're going to give you that spot. Now sell it. Act like professionals and really sell the match and not who you're sleeping with. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the in-ring potential for this match, it could steal the show.
Absolutely.
And I'm never a big fan of this would be big for the young up and coming, star. This would be a big win for Tiffany. It's like, well, there's certain women and men wrestlers throughout time that are at such a high level. John Cena in his prime, Charlotte in their prime, Hulk Hogan in his prime, you don't just get wins just because it's going to be good for that person to propel them. That's just not, unfortunately, how it works. If Charlotte's at the end of her career and she's obviously built up what she has, then it's like, okay, this makes sense. But Charlotte's still in her prime. Like, you don't just beat the GOAT and then it just is like, oh, well, it's just something.
Then
It'd be
what?
a big win for her. Then, yeah, right.
At Mania of all places.
Unfortunately or fortunately, whether how you look at it, when you get these generational talents like Charlotte Flair, like how John Cena was in his prime, they don't just lose.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. Even if it were to, it's obviously would benefit a younger star dramatically. That's just not how this works.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of this would be big for her. Yeah, it would be, but that's not what's going to happen.
Yeah, and age really doesn't matter, honestly.
No,
It's 39 nowadays. People are wrestling until their 50s. Not a lot of
Look at
women.
LA Knight.
Yeah, but a lot of the main talent in WWE is in their mid 40s, like the people at the top of the card.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. Eric asked, "Oh, what do you got?"
Well, I was going to say there's another 39-year-old. To be fair, it's a man, and his name is Roman Reigns, and I would still say he's in his prime.
He's only 39.
Like age, like where we think about like sports, like a 39-year-old baseball player or basketball
Washed.
player, yeah, that's washed. In WWE, I mean, look at AJ Styles, who's damn near 50 and looks in the best shape of his life and could still go with anybody. Like I think the age
Bobby
thing
Lashley. I'm just thinking,
there's plenty. It doesn't necessarily apply, I think, to the wrestling perspective, but I mean, I know a lot of people also aren't a big fan of guys or men like Charlotte and John Cena getting all these title runs and all that.
Which
but
is fair. I mean, I get it.
I get it. It's a lot of miles.
Good for business.
It's obviously working, right? They're not going out of business. They're still doing WrestleMania. So
You also, to that point, you also need to talk about it from 20 years later in the future. You're looking back let's say 2050. You're looking back. You're coming up to WrestleMania, and you think back. Charlotte, you can't keep saying like a Hulk Hogan run. You can't keep saying that over and over again from the 1990s or wherever, 1980s. You can't keep bringing that shit back up. You need those new Hulk Hogans. You need those new Ric Flairs. You need people to talk about like that. So, yeah. It's good for business just having that dominant champion. John Cena will always be known as the ruler of the 2010s. That was his decade.
Yeah. 100%. I totally agree with what you guys are saying. I want to answer Eric's question. He says, do you think Liv can main event night 1 of SummerSlam? Massive star in her hometown. Maybe her versus Saraya, her versus AJ. AJ Lee's never coming back. I'm just going to put that out there right now. I'd be very surprised if she did. If she would have been back already, I feel like, guys, if she wanted to return, Punk's been there for 2 years, I think. Now, but Saraya maybe. But Liv Morgan, I'm not taking anything away from her because I think she's been the MVP of the women's division. I just don't know if that's the direction she's going to be headed in this summer. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
No, AJ will not be coming back, and then Saraya, I don't think she will wrestle again.
Manager.
Part of the reason, but part of the reason she left AEW was she was kind of just done wrestling and she wanted to go do other things again, which. Good for her. She's got the talent to do so in the acting department. So, yeah,
it's true.
I just think Liv's at her ceiling right now. In terms, I think she's doing her best work, and I think she's doing a great job. But there's a differential between what Liv is and what Charlotte is, and I wouldn't see Liv main eventing a SummerSlam. But that's no taken away from what she's doing because she's doing the best work of her career.
100%.
I just think there's just a place for everyone, and I wouldn't see her there, but
well, I would like her to establish those tag titles too. I think a lengthy run with the tag titles would do good for both her and Raquel.
And I don't want to see a heelish like kind of Roman Reigns-esque wrestle every 2 months, which ended up working, obviously in the long run.
I think that's what we're gonna get out of Charlotte. It's what you're gonna get, brother. It's gonna be a Roman Reigns type of run.
Ugh.
I know, but that's what's going to make people boo her and want to see the title taken off of her. And that, to answer Eric's question, if Tiffany loses the title, then what? You put her back on the chase. You have her climb the ladder once again. She goes to the back of the line. She's got to work her way back up to get to Charlotte Flair. Hell, maybe, I was going to say maybe she wins Money in the Bank, but she did that last year. So I doubt, unless they do back-to-back, Ian, maybe they do.
When is King and Queen in the ring, or is that done?
Ooh, I don't know. But no, they do that every year.
I was about to say, I mean, kind
Queen
of
of the
like
Ring.
what AEW does. Yeah, I think she could win Queen of the Ring. If I don't see any other talent that would be like, oh, they're gonna 100% win Queen of the Ring.
Like a slam dunk pick, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like AEW's like Bret Hart or not Bret Hart, Owen Hart
Owen
Cup.
Hart, yeah.
It's kind of like that tournament-esque style. You could work your way up from the bottom, but just do it in the ring and don't really have to do much character development.
Yeah, I think Tiffany is going to be fine. But we got 2 more matches to talk about from night 1. This one, another one that's kind of controversial online. The build to Gunther versus Jey Uso. Jey Uso shocked the world by winning the Royal Rumble. And now I think he's going to kick off night 1. It would make a lot of sense for this match to go first. Everybody yeeting in the crowd. And you know what? I'm not going to talk about the build. I'll let you guys discuss your thoughts on the build. I think this one's very cut and dry. And I will say this, though, about the build. Recently, it's gotten a lot better. I've enjoyed the last 3 weeks to this story, but I think it's ultimately all setting up for the moment, just like we said in past episodes, like Kofi Mania, Yes Mania. It's going to be Yita Mania. Jey Uso is winning the world title. You might not like it, but you have to accept it. He is a merch machine. He is over with every single crowd that he steps into the arena, and he's going to win the world title. I'm sorry, Gunther, you're great. I love this new side that we're starting to see once again, but I just think the money is in Jey Uso getting his first singles title. And I'm going to leave it at that because there's a lot of things that could be said about this build, Ian. So first off, let me hear your thoughts on the build and who you think's going to win.
I have been kind of impartial to the build and my feelings on the build. I haven't hated it. I haven't hated it whatsoever at any point. And that might be controversial to say, but I genuinely have not. I have been not enjoying it 24/7, but obviously recently I'm extremely involved and really enjoying it with the brotherly kind of bond that they're doing. I think this is going to be a curveball, and I think this is going to be a swerve. I think I'm going to have Gunther retaining. Mainly because you have Jey win that title. Okay, what now?
Sammy.
Well, if Sammy gets involved, I mean,
He could.
he's not on the Mania card. You have to have Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is not going to be involved. Sami Zayn, I think, has to be involved with this match in some way. And just helping out Jey Uso after being, off TV for a while now. Okay, cool, yay, fun. It would be kind of like recreating that Cody Rhodes moment where he won the title. I don't want to see that here. I kind of want to see Jey lose, and I want Gunther to retain. Make Gunther into an absolute demon.
Wow.
Jey Uso is always going to be great when he's on the chase. If you spoil this title win right away, okay, what now?
I kind of see where he's coming from, Aaron. I don't know who you're going to agree with here. I'm curious.
I mean, I was thinking the same. I mean, I think I know who I'm going to pick, but I was thinking the exact same thing Ian's thinking of. I'm a big Gunther guy. I mean, I when he was on the Van Fleet podcast, I think he was saying like throughout NXT and WWE, the time he's been in WWE, he's been a champion like 90% of his stay, like something ridiculous. So in terms of like the build to start there, him bloodying up Jimmy, obviously we don't need to see the blood and stuff every week, but I needed a little bit more of that. I was really hoping that he would just beat the living crap out of Jey and everybody around him all up until WrestleMania to really build the heat on Gunther. And obviously, like you said, they picked it up. But I was hoping for a little more heat in that regard. But in terms of like who's going to win, man, like it's two perspectives. Obviously, Jey is he's on fire. And I could see WWE being like, all right, we're going to put the strap on him. We're going to see if he can be that guy. Because until you are champion, I don't think you can really tell, can you be that guy until that strap is on you and you're defending it against a multitude of people for however long the title reign is. And so I'm leaning that direction. I think that's what's going to happen. But I also have been giving WWE a lot of credit of not being predictable. And having, there's a lot of litany of things that it could, like, there's, like you guys are alluding to, Sami Zayn can get involved. There's a litany of possibilities. This is why I said off
Well,
there.
Kaiser too. You said it too. Kaiser
Right.
could get involved.
Why I was wishing this would be a no DQ match. I was hoping that it would get so personal and so ugly that they would put that stipulation in there. I thought it would just ultimately help collectively with the entire match, but Gunther being a champion and really putting that heat on him and putting Jay on the run, I'd be behind it. Let's just say I wouldn't be against it, but I do think they're going to put the strap on Jay. He'll lead off. He's going to get all the crowd's reaction. It's going to be a big moment for him, and they're going to basically see. I mean, you're going to find out right then and there after that WrestleMania, can he hang? Can he be that guy? And I think that's what WWE is wanting to find out, because he has so much behind him, and there's a lot of, chatter that, they don't think he's a great wrestler, that he doesn't bring a whole lot in that regard. And I can understand that, but they're not drastically in that business. That's the AEW business. This is a business of reaction, cinema, all of that. So I think Jay's going to win, and I think they're just going to roll with it and see what they can get out of it and see if he can be a guy. But I would not be shocked if somehow, some way Gunther retains and they go that route and they just build that heat and he's on the chase again. I don't know. Maybe
I would be shocked. I personally would be because I agree with what Eric is saying. I think personally it's now or never, and he goes on to say, and I'll let Ian answer this question. If Jay loses, how does he get back into the main title picture? Because then he would be 0-4 against Gunther.
That's fair. Yeah, no, it's fair. I think he's going to win. I'm just saying WWE nowadays with Triple H at the helm, they try and not be as predictable, and maybe he wins Money in the Bank. I don't know. Who knows? But I do agree, though. I do think that him losing might take off too much steam. Like the steam taken off of Jey Uso would not be as comparable as the heat that it would put on Gunther. And so in that regard, I would say that Jay's kind of got to win this one.
Fair. Ian, what's your thoughts on Eric's comment here?
My immediate comment is, when has wins versus losses ever meant anything in WWE besides an Iron Man match?
True.
No one's going to care. I think they started recently realizing, oh shit, okay, they don't really care about Jay winning the title. They kind of more care about the whole emotional impact it could have on the surrounding ones, like the Jimmy Usos, even maybe if they get a Roman Reigns involved. I don't think it's now or never. Emotion is a very, very, very strong drug when it comes to wrestling. You could build anything if you have any emotional ties that you create with your audience. And they started creating it. And that was recent. After a feud of beating down Jey Uso and Jay, I don't know. It was not a great start to the feud, but they just started recently building it with that emotion, with the family ties. I don't think it's a now or never situation. You could always have Jey Uso go off. It's kind of like an LA Knight thing. He's not going to lose steam, no matter what he does in the ring, no matter what matches he loses. I don't know. That's where I come from it.
No, I get that. That makes sense. But I like what Dante's saying, too. Everybody always complains when WWE doesn't capitalize or they're not pushing so-and-so. Now's the time with Jey Uso. When would he ever get this opportunity ever again?
Yeah, it is. Now that I'm kind of thinking about it, if you think that he can be a main guy, he's got to win this belt, and he's got to I'm
My
sorry.
question to you, go ahead.
No, I'm really thinking about it. I also now would be pretty damn surprised if he loses, because now that I'm thinking about it, I do kind of think it is a now or never sort of situation where you need to find out now if he's a guy, for the future. So
no, I get it. Trust me, I'm with you on that. But my question was going to be to you. It's online speculation. The Rock is always 2 steps ahead. That's what he says. The Rock even has his own hashtag with an emoji on X. The Rock's going to be involved at WrestleMania. Whether it's this or the main event of night 2, he's going to be involved. What if he is using Jey Uso in collusion with John Cena to become his corporate champion? So Jey wins the title and joins a heel authority with John Cena with his title, and you have Travis Scott, The Rock, Jey Uso, and John Cena. Would that move the needle for you?
No, because then I think you're taking away all the the whole reason why Jay's in this spot to begin with. I mean, he's the big face with the big reaction. Would I be shocked if after he wins, The Rock approaches him and it's like, hey,
Got an offer.
this is it. This is what you should do. And I would think he would say no. I mean, I have my own thoughts of who the next Rock guy is, and obviously we're going to get to that in the next match. So I won't spoil that there. But I don't think you go that direction with Jay, because I just think he's so over as a face that just stripping that, you're almost better just trying to make Gunther that guy as the champion instead of Jay. So I don't think they go that route with him. I think he goes. I think we have some other people joining the Rock's allegiance, and we'll get to that.
Okay, so let's get to the main event of night one. This one probably has the best build going into it. At least it has the deepest history behind it. We got CM Punk, Seth Rollins versus the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. But don't forget, Paul Heyman is going to be aligned and in the corner of CM Punk in this match. And obviously, Ian, all the diehard wrestling fans know the history. CM Punk's always been a Paul Heyman guy. Roman Reigns has always been a Paul Heyman guy. But then there's Seth Rollins, who also has plenty of history with CM Punk. They've been beefing for the past year or two. And you have Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, who came up together in the Shield. All this culminating in the main event. No title needed whatsoever. How do you see this one shaking out? Because I think there's a lot of layers to this match.
On paper, this is a 33% to 33% to 33% chance. I mean, you could go any direction with this, and you're going to benefit. Immediately, though, this is going to sound really weird to say. There's one person, and I want Aaron to guess first, who will not be winning this match, in my opinion.
Roman
Aaron,
Reigns.
Thank you.
Isn't that crazy?
That is insane to say. Roman Reigns is not going to win this match.
Agreed. I think we all agree. It's Punk or Rollins.
Yeah. And again, I think we've kind of alluded to it with The Rock's involvement in his new group. It's not going to be Punk. And that just leaves one name on the table, and that's Seth Rollins. He's been kind of dressing up like The Rock in recent weeks. I like the idea. I think the writing's on the wall. Let's have Seth Rollins spice up the group even more. I mean, we've been talking about it for fucking 3 years now. Seth Rollins' character needs a change at some point. This is that change. Enough with the singing.
Please.
As fun as it is probably in
I'm
the
not
audience.
having fun anymore.
Yeah, it's not fun anymore, especially when that involves an entire promo segment. But let's have Seth Rollins join the Rock's group, win this match. CM Punk and Roman Reigns could do their own thing with Paul Heyman. I mean, this whole match is just going to be add Seth Rollins to the ranks of the Rock.
And Seth Rollins last year didn't have a match on the card, but he was arguably the MVP. Oh no, he did have a match on the card. I'm sorry, he lost his title. Yeah, and he was a part of the tag match. Yeah, he had the singles match, and he interfered in the tag match. He wasn't a part. Oh no, was he a part of the tag match? Why am I blanking on that?
Yeah, it was
Rollins and Cody versus Rock and Roman.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so yeah.
So you were double wrong.
You see, this is what happens when you have too much vitamins at night. I didn't expect you to go that route, Aaron. I think you might be on the same page though. But I think we all agreed Roman Reigns, who was the face or still is the face, you could say, of WWE for the past decade, is not gonna win. So who do you got?
And he's not getting pinned either. So it's either Rollins or Punk, one of the two pinning the other. That's what I'm thinking. I have been dead set on this since the start. I think Rollins, and I've always been a Rollins guy. I think he is the MVP of. I mean, Roman is obviously at Roman's level, but Rollins works with everybody. He's been the workhorse. He's been the guy that's been there, and he's alluded to it in his promos that he cares about the company as a whole and saving the company. And I know he's had his spits with The Rock from last year, but I fully expect Rollins to win this with the help of Paul Heyman. And
Paul Heyman guy.
I think Paul Heyman will try and help Punk when Roman's trying to spear him. And then when Punk's got Rollins where he needs him, We're seeing it, and I think Heyman and Rollins become Rock guys, both. I mean, this is a prediction, but this is what
The
we're here to
Rock's
do.
wise man, essentially.
It's not a spoiler. It's a prediction. It's the opposite way
And
now.
I think those two, and we're going to get the character change that we've been waiting for a little while now with Rollins. He is going to be corporate Rollins like he was with the Authority, and he's going to have Paul Heyman by his side, and that's going to be a thing. Don't be surprised if we see Jay win, and then The Rock offers him, and he says no, and you know who goes after that title again? Seth Rollins.
Oh, there it is. Oh, that makes so much sense.
So
And then-
that's where I'm going, and that's what I think. I think he pins Punk. He gets his. I know they've had their great feud for a while now. He gets that win with Heyman's help over Punk, pins him, and then Rock corporate guy gets involved with Jey Uso. That's my guess. That's where I'm going with this.
I did not expect us all to be on the same page for this match. This is actually surprising me, but like Dante is saying, and you guys said it too, Seth needs to win. He is the least interesting of the three right now. You know how you make Seth Rollins important again? Doing exactly what these two just said. Turning him heel, winning this match, and just becoming a Rock guy. I think that is where the money's at too. And it's crazy, once again, that we all are agreeing on this because I could see CM Punk winning. It would make sense if CM Punk were to win this match. But I think Aaron kind of alluded to it too with the Paul Heyman dynamic. Maybe Heyman's just like, CM Punk and Roman Reigns are just adding drama to my life that I don't need. And I don't want to align myself with those two anymore. I need a new guy. And that's why Heyman sides with Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins has also been, like, there's tea leaves out there because his interviews, he's bashing The Rock. Like, recently, too. He was just on a podcast bashing The Rock. I think that's all swerve. I think he's trying to misdirect us here. And I think Seth Rollins is going to win the main event of night one. And I don't think any of us would be surprised if this is a match of the year candidate, right?
No, absolutely not.
And I can just hear it now in my head, Paul Heyman introducing Seth freaking Rollins. I can just see it.
He's gonna bust out the fucking. It's gonna finally be fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, his heel turn. Yeah, it's no more PG.
You just got to say the effing. They weren't bleeping the F words on Raw this week. I don't know if you guys noticed that or watched Raw. But...
I rewatch it. They did bleep it eventually.
Oh, damn bastards! Fuck you, Netflix. All right, we got to get to night two. We're almost an hour in, and we still got to get to night two here. We could probably spend a short amount of time on this one because we all are going to agree at this point that Lyra Valkyria should not be in a tag team match at WrestleMania. This is not the way to use her. I've said it multiple times. Bayley versus Roxanne should have been the move. Regardless, this is the tag match we're getting. 4 talented women. I just don't care. Liv and Raquel are going to retain, and maybe Bayley and Lyra run it back again, and that will be a good match like it was on Raw. But why should I care about this match, Ian? I just don't.
I don't either. I kind of wish this was for Lyra's title. I wish that was a thing because Lyra, as much as it's been kind of swept under the rug because there are bigger things going on in WWE, Lyra's title reign has been awesome. I've enjoyed every single match that she has been involved
working
in
her ass off
every week. Yeah, and she's been incredible. As for the character development part, it's a different story, but the wrestling part has been awesome. She's lived up to the hype. I wish this was kind of like a fatal 4-way or throw 5 other women at her for this title and then have Lyra come out on top and kind of show why she is the champion. Because, again, every single week on Raw, it's kind of been filled in as that, pee break match where it's just thrown in there. You probably know Lyra's going to win, but okay, cool. But again, I think she's been awesome. She deserves to be on the card. Just doesn't deserve to be filled in here. As for the actual match, I think Liv and Raquel retain. There is story to tell with Bayley and Lyra. Bayley goes for the mid-card title. Turns heel again. I don't know what the hell she is anymore. I don't know.
I don't need to see a heel run from her again.
No,
She's better as a babyface.
Yeah.
Even though it could happen. Yeah. It could happen.
I mean, I'll keep it quick. I think this will be, a tag team thrown together that doesn't have chemistry. They'll butt heads and the heels will capitalize.
Yeah.
And they'll win. And I think that's just all this is going to be. I think Liv and Raquel like you said earlier, try to add some legitimacy to the women's tag division by having a longer title reign. I just think this is just basically thrown together where they won't be cohesive, and the heels will take advantage who are cohesive, and that's all this will be.
And also, spoiler alert for the next match we're going to talk about. I think it makes a lot of sense for Liv and Raquel to keep gold because I think somebody in the Judgment Day is getting gold on WrestleMania Night 2. I'm just going to leave it at that. But we're all going with Liv and Raquel to retain the women's tag team title. So let's go to that Fatal 4-Way. The very first Fatal 4-Way IC title match in WrestleMania history. And boys, this is going to be a really good one. We got Braun Breaker, the champion, of course, taking on Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor. Aaron, I think you're going to start us off on this one. Like I said, very excited. I think this has potential to steal Night 2.
Oh yeah, I mean this is a cast of absolutely great wrestlers. I'm with you, and I'm going with Dominic. I think this is how I see this happening. I think Braun Breaker's on to bigger and better things. I think this is a way. I don't see him winning because I think he's on the move to get into the main title picture, go against some big time talent. But again, this Dominic thing has just continued to work. I mean, the heat that he gets and keeping this Judgment Day faction, when you take out Priest and you take out Rhea Ripley, you would think, oh, I mean, is this thing going to stay afloat?
Right.
In a Fatal 4-Way where anything goes, where you can do anything, I think you got to go with the dirtiest guy in the game. And I think you're going to go with Dominic Mysterio. I think he does get the belt. I think he deserves it because I do love what he's been doing with the Judgment Day and by himself. And he can hold his own. I mean, it's not like he's just going off of name. So I do think he picks it up. And don't be surprised if, like, the whole Finn and Dominic thing's going to get interesting. I could see him doing something cheap to Finn to grab the titles, and then you get the ripple effects there. That's where I'm leaning, but I think the one that makes sense the most is Dominic Mysterio, so that's where I'm going with.
That's interesting because I did say I'm going with somebody in the Judgment Day here.
Finn.
If I had to like power rank these, honestly, I'd probably put Penta last on odds to win, just because there's no story really there. I mean, sure, he's been intertwined amongst this group, like they've all gotten wins against each other, they've swapped wins. But the main story here is the dissension in the Judgment Day and Braun Breaker. And like Aaron said, Braun Breaker will be fine if he loses the title because he's just going to go after a bigger title. The story is the Judgment Day here. And like for the exact reasons that Aaron said, I'm not going to elaborate on it even more. Dominic Mysterio, I think, is going to win the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. And that will be the feud going forward with a babyface Finn Balor versus Dominic, because everybody in the Judgment Day is going to have gold except for Finn Balor and Carlito, which, by the way, Carlito, I hope you're okay after that spear by Braun Breaker because that was vicious. But yeah, Ian, this might surprise you, but Aaron and I are going with a new IC champion in Dominic Mysterio. What about you?
This put me into a corner, and I don't like it here in this corner.
Nobody puts Ian in the corner.
Yeah, the way I see Dom winning is not a clean victory. I think it would be a roll-up of some sort, and it would not be pinning Braun Breaker. I don't think Dom can pin Braun Breaker, which makes me skeptical because, first off, so if you have Dom win the title, say you get to SummerSlam or whatever PLE, Dom will have the title, face Finn Balor. That's going to happen. It's going to have to do with some dissension. He'll be involved in that match. Braun Breaker, if he doesn't get pinned, he will be involved in that match as well. That could just be the wrestling purist in me, but he would be involved in that match as well. Penta as well. What the fuck do you do with Penta at that point then? Because there's nothing for Penta to fall back on necessarily. It's not like you could say, okay, let's move him to the main title.
Well, I was going to say, what if you just bring him with Ray right away?
Well, that's what I was going to say as well. That feels rushed to me. I think you could, if you want to do this singles push with Penta, then you're going to probably end up doing the same with Ray as well. I don't know. It kind of pins yourself in your own corner if you have one of Finn Balor or Dom winning. I mean, Finn Balor could pin anyone, and it's going to be believable. Dom, not necessarily. I like the ideas that you guys have laid out. When all else comes to fail, I just go with what's next and go Finn and Dom are going to have their own feud. They're going to have their own falling off. Penta should have a one-on-one for that title, and I think Braun Breaker should have that title after WrestleMania. Braun Breaker retains.
He would probably be number 2 on my power rankings for this match. Like, if it's not Dom, I think Braun's going to retain. And after that, who knows? Aaron, was there anything else you wanted to add on about this one?
Well, I was just saying, like, when you were talking about, like, what do you do with Penta? Like, there's only so many titles, and there's so much talent, and there's only so many mouths to feed. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things where they just might not have a plan. It's just like, hey, you're not going to be the IC champion. We
just
have
got to get him on the card.
Right. We'll figure it out after the fact, but
Money in the Bank?
Now, I haven't thought that far yet. Again, and this is just me fantasy booking, of course, but do you guys think it would be outlandish that The Rock got involved at all in that, and the guy that he wants to win wins?
In this match?
No, not this man. Oh, I'm thinking way too far ahead. When he brought up Money in the Bank, I'm like, could you see The Rock like picking out somebody that he wants?
I could see
But
that.
then again,
yes.
maybe not, because maybe the guy that he has as champion is his guy. Who knows? But that's different
fair.
discussion.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're going with Dominic Mysterio, Aaron and I, and Ian is going with a retain from Braun Breaker. Let's move on to this one. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. A lot of people hate Logan Paul. I just haven't really cared for the story going into it. I think the match itself is going to be great, Aaron, but man, there just doesn't have any steam behind it. But so how do you see this one shaking out?
This is just basically, we have AJ Styles, who's one of the best workers ever. We need to get him on a WrestleMania card, and whether you love Logan Paul or you hate Logan Paul, and I know a lot of people hate him, he is a draw. He is a personality, and I think this will add more credibility to him. I mean, the dude faced Roman Reigns. Like, I mean, come on. Like, he's legit. He's legit in ring, and he is a legit bad guy. And so I think this will just be one of those great matches where AJ Styles is putting over a younger talent to add more legitimacy to Logan Paul. So I'll keep it quick. I think Logan Paul wins this one in a match that's really good.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And let's just look at AJ Styles' history. I believe he's had one-on-one matches with Shane McMahon at WrestleMania and LA Knight. 2 matches that people didn't really expect much out of. Both were great. That's going to be the same situation here in this one. Once again, not emotionally invested. I don't really care. I love AJ Styles. I obviously want AJ to win, but I think Logan Paul's going to win. I think he just has more to gain by getting a win over a former world champion at WrestleMania. Because let's be real, Logan Paul loses more than he wins. And if you're going to keep him around, he's got to win more to be believable. So for me, even though I don't want to see it, I think Logan Paul is going to defeat AJ Styles at WrestleMania, Ian.
Yeah, as much as I have been contradicting you guys in the pick department, I'm going to also agree. Again, as Aaron was saying, why this match happened. Well, Logan Paul gets a lot of eyes on the product. He goes mainstream every single time he does something crazy in the ring, and it draws in a lot of new eyes. That's what you want with any wrestling company. That's why you have fucking Big Boom AJ.
Boom! Aaron loves the Costco guys, right?
Oh, I hate him. I want Big AJ to take a spear from Braun Breaker. Break him in half.
You can't do that, brother.
I know. It's just my fantasy.
Now that would get 5 big booms, Aaron.
Oh, God, I hate that guy.
But AJ Styles, yeah. Again, you partner him with AJ Styles, who's arguably one of the greatest of all time in ring, especially even before WWE, before he was known.
Yeah.
Now, he's an incredible wrestler. Where my mind goes is, which hasn't been mentioned yet,
I know where you're going.
Where the Karrion Kross gets played into the situation. Does he fuel AJ Styles to win this match, or does he drain him to lose this match? I'm going to fall more on that side because, again, I like to think of the future. AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross, yes, absolutely. From a story aspect, it's going to tickle my brain a little bit, and I would love to see them in the ring again because what they did on Raw this week, or more specifically what Karrion did on Raw this week, was awesome. Put his hands behind his back for the finisher. I'm seeing what he's laying out now. I think a lot of it was bullshitting, saying I was involved with this heel turn, but now it actually does make sense because this character, TikTok, it's finally arrived, and it's pretty cool.
Karrion Kross is going to be a big star, I think, this year for the WWE. You could tell that there's steam behind him, and I totally agree. He definitely could get involved by costing AJ here. I mean, hell, the dude even bought the trunks that AJ Styles wears for that match. He's just playing mind games. So Kross and Styles seems to be the future. Logan Paul going over at WrestleMania, which means we have 3 more matches to talk about. I'll start with this one because, once again, not really feeling it, to be honest with you. Once again, though, Damian Priest, great in his own right. Phenomenal. Drew McIntyre, doing some of the best work of his career. Drew McIntyre, though, should win this match. Let's be real. Who's the bigger star? That's how I look at this match. Who's got more to gain and more to lose? Drew McIntyre definitely has more to lose if he were to lose this match. Because if Drew loses, I don't think he ever gets back into the world title scene. And I think Drew McIntyre deserves to be in the world title scene soon. So just going off that, Ian, once again, maybe this match will surprise us because it is the only stipulation on the card. Street fight. But I'm going to go with Drew to defeat Damian Priest. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Drew as well. Again, I have been very critical of any time we've seen Priest versus McIntyre because I really don't give a shit. There's been a few times that Priest has done a very good job in the advertising and promo department for a match, and you know what's funny? I don't even remember that match, which is kind of crazy. But
they fought at WrestleMania last year too.
Yeah, Drew should have had the title coming out of that, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not fully in with Priest. I think he's really good at wrestling. I don't love the character whatsoever. Drew McIntyre, however, no. The Drew McIntyre character, though, is amazing, and I love what he does because this is that Scottish psychopath that we were hoping to get throughout the entire COVID season when he was claiming to be the Scottish psychopath and would just kind of swing a sword at ropes every now and then.
that was pretty much the gist of it. Yeah, that's a good way of recapping that. But Aaron, how are we feeling about this one?
Yeah, not thrilled. I'm a big Drew McIntyre guy, and I was, again, there's only so many mouths to feed. There's only so much that you can do. I think Drew McIntyre is a main event guy. The way that he reinvented himself when he came back, I thought was tremendous. Him and Punk had the feud of the year, one of the better feuds that we've seen in a while. I love him. I think he needs to win. I don't see him not winning. I'm praying that he becomes a Rock guy at some point because I think he could play that role about as well as anybody. He needs to win this, propel him. Maybe he feuds with Jay because they have history there. I mean, shit, Drew has history with like everybody, but yeah, there's no way he loses this match. I don't see how.
Is it number one on like power? If you were to power rank your confidence on picks, would this be the most confident match on the card?
Oh God, mine's 50-50.
No,
see, my most confident would be Charlotte, which is crazy.
Oh, my most confidence yet to come.
Oh, well, we might as well get to it because there's 2 big matchups happening on night 2. This one's going to be a triple threat for the women's title. The champion, Io Sky, taking on Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Once again, Mr. OTM told you this match was going to happen 3 months ago, but none of you guys are listening to me. Maybe you should.
What?
Regardless, Io Sky deserves this spot. I know a lot of people wanted to see Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. Hell, who wouldn't? Those are your 2 top stars in your women's division right now. But Io Sky, this is her story. A lot of people think this just involves Rhea and Bianca because Rhea found her way back into things by kind of being a bitch about things. Bianca hasn't been the normal babyface that we're used to seeing. She's leaning into this heel side, which is very compelling. And a lot of people believe that since Bianca is like leaning into this heelness, that she's going to win. No. Io Sky is going to retain her title at WrestleMania. You know how you make another star? You have her beat 2 of your biggest stars at WrestleMania. Bianca could go off and get involved in the Naomi and Jade story after this. And Rhea Ripley's Rhea Ripley. She will be fine. She will find her way. She's mommy. She's always on top. Io Sky, this is who the story is surrounding. We need to stop making her an afterthought. Make her the focal point. Io Sky is retaining her women's championship at WrestleMania. Ian?
I cannot stand going after you because I have nothing to add to this because, like you said, this is a perfect opportunity for Io Sky to, again, I've been very critical. Not critical, I should say. I've been very opinionated. Skeptical, yeah, I guess is a word. Okay, Io Sky's really good in the ring. I don't really care for her as a character. This is at least something for me to digest in the whole underdog thing. She's a really good underdog. Like you said, she's kind of like that shadow in this match where I don't think she's gonna win, but she probably will end up winning.
That's
this
who
match.
wins. Yep.
Yeah. And as you said, I think Bianca has stuff to fall back on to be okay. And Rhea Ripley, I think she's got plenty of time after this. This is just going to turn her into a mega heel because I don't know. From her vibe for the promo this past Monday, that's a heel promo, brother. That is not a tweener promo. That was, I hate you, I hate everybody. Yeah,
Can you even make Rhea a heel, though? Like, will people actually boo her?
Yes.
I don't know.
Can't.
She's so over right now.
She has not been... It would be kind of like a Stone Cold heel, where it's like, he is 100% a heel. He is a piece of shit, but the people are going to love the heelish ways.
It's a badass
If that
heel.
makes any sense. Yeah, I'd put it like that. I don't think you're going to get her promos booed out of the building. Aaron, you're shaking your head a lot. Speak.
No, because it's just nice that I could just be the complete opposite. In terms of the Rhea thing, I just think sometimes you have to go that route when you're in a triple threat where it's not just face versus heel. You just kind of have to live in that tweener zone. And so I don't really look too much into that. I'm all over Bianca, and this is where my head goes. So, yeah. So, two things. Well, this is kind of like looking ahead and just the way that I see things. Number one, and I'm falling into a wrestling rumorville, Bianca's 4-0 at WrestleMania, and there are rumblings that a new little streak with the women's side that there's this talk. It's not there yet, but there's talk. But even regardless of that, the way that I see this going is I do think Bianca wins. And just like you said, yes, Bianca has something to fall back on. You know who she faces at SummerSlam for the title? Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
And you bring her in, and I think those two go at it, and I think that's where that eventually leads. She's going to win the title. Jade's going to come off the win against him. Right. There's many different ways you can go.
That's got to happen.
But I do think Bianca wins it. I think she can pin Rhea, and it doesn't look completely weak, right? So that to where I didn't lose it. I didn't get pinned, but because I know she belongs here, and you're not trying to make her look lesser than the other two.
Her.
Right. And so naturally, I think Bianca will win, maybe lean into more of that heel side with Naomi, and then we see Jade Cargill versus Bianca with all that involved. It already has a build to it with SummerSlam being so close. You don't have to do a whole lot to build to that, and I think that's where they go. So that's why I think Bianca's going to win.
Makes sense, Ian. I mean, we're both going with Io, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bianca won.
No, the thing is, again, this is one of those other triple threats where it's like it's a 33% versus 33% versus 33%. I would love any of these women to win.
Sure.
I don't think there's any downside, especially
No lose.
If you have that kind of Undertaker streak in the women's division. I would love that. I think the women's division needs something like that where you could throw that certain name, like a Bianca, about 5 years later down the road against some kind of unknown, not necessarily for a title, but that is a big ass match to see if Bianca will lose this time or win again. Having something like that at WrestleMania is huge. Obviously, we still talk about Brock Lesnar beating Undertaker's streak. That's still a big deal. Not the right guy to do it, but it's still a big deal. So,
the streak thing was great because it creates opportunity for other people. Like it becomes equal to a title match. Maybe you didn't win the Royal Rumble, but I get to face the Undertaker. Some people would value that higher. And granted, you can go back to when CM Punk faced Undertaker and he he was not happy. He was not excited. He might be the only person that was not excited to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
It's the easiest WrestleMania build sell ever.
Right.
It's just like it
Pops
basically writes itself. There it is. All right,
Yeah.
you're going against the streak. Now, I'm not saying it gets there, obviously, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. And it's been a long card, but I think there's been enough talk. It's time for the main event.
I think there's been enough talk. It's time for the main event. Well, I think we've had enough.
All right, let's get to the main event. Yeah, I miss Mark Henry doing that as well. John Cena, heel John Cena, main eventing WrestleMania 41 against the American Nightmare, the man that finished his story last year at WrestleMania 40, Cody Rhodes. And man, I am excited for this one. The unthinkable happened, Ian. We never thought we were going to see it. John Cena working heel. Here it is. I just don't even know what to ask you because there's so much that could happen here. So dive into it. You get to go first. Who's walking out of WrestleMania with the WWE title? Cody Rhodes or John Cena?
I have never been so glad to start off a prediction because, like you've said before, you've given me the creditation of calling the shot. But
you did.
I called this a long-ass time ago.
August last year.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I thought the roles would be reversed at this point, but here we are. We have Cody Rhodes as a face facing the new heel of John Cena. What they've done with this Cena heel run has been fun so far. It's been awesome so far. It's very easy to boo him at this point because he is turning on every single one of his, I guess you could say, like, I don't know.
His fans. He just turned on his fans.
Yeah, it just turns on the fans in general, which are the most important when it comes to John Cena of the past. But I'll just cut to the chase. I want to see it. I need to see it. I want to see Cena as the new champ, and I think it's going to happen. I think Cody Rhodes loses the title. We inevitably get a Cody Rhodes heel turn. Again, I'm going to be kind of brief about it, but this is one of those feuds where I don't want to speculate too much. Kind of just in broad strokes, I want to speculate how it goes. I know us three, we are very fantasy wrestling booking. We want to get into that mindset. This is one of those feuds and one of those kind of rivalries that I just want to watch play out and just let be cinema. I don't want to speculate too much because I could probably talk for an hour. I want Cena to win. I want him to be a heel. I want him to not defend that title, and I want him to destroy that title. And I want Cody Rhodes to go down a path of like mental just anguish and fighting against himself while also fighting against Cena. Lay it all out there because it is right there for you to play. John Cena is the new champ.
All right, Aaron, what you got?
Easiest prediction of the entire weekend. The moment that man turned heel, there is no conceivable argument that you can make to me to make Cody Rhodes win. There's none. This is going to be John Cena with The Rock with the second, we can get into that another time, biggest heel turn ever behind Hogan. That's I don't even think it's close. But to be fair, but there's no argument you can make that John Cena doesn't win this. He wins the record-breaking title. He's with The Rock. I agree with Ian. He just destroys the title and maybe doesn't. Maybe he has one more match for it. Maybe he brings back the spinner. Who fucking knows?
She said he wasn't doing that.
But there's no way he doesn't win. There's just no way Cody Rhodes comes out on top of this because I think you just absolutely ruin every big moment you created by that heel turn and joining with The Rock. I just think there's no argument that you can make to me. It's like, well, if John Cena loses and you can go this route and this different route.
And he turns face again.
Yeah, no. Eventually, I see. Now we can sit here and talk about that forever. I don't know how they're going to pivot because eventually they're going to have to because he's not going to go out as a heel. Something's going to eventually change. I don't know what that is or what that's going to be. But John Cena's walking away as the champion. The Rock, I'm sure, will get involved. Maybe he does, and maybe he does. I feel like he might have to, but there's just no way. There's absolutely
Yeah.
no way John Cena isn't having the record-breaking championship because he's done. It's not like John Cena's got like 5 years after this to do whatever.
No,
He's
this
done.
is it.
And this is it. And this is what this heel turn means. This is how you culminate the moment that was the John Cena heel turn. He wins the record-breaking championship. It's done. Easiest prediction I think that there is.
See, I'm trying to think of reasons why Cody would win, but I really can't logically come up with one. Because like you said, we have not seen The Rock since that heel turn. The Rock has to be involved some way, some form. Maybe even Travis Scott gets involved into this match because we know he's going to be at WrestleMania. But I agree with what you're saying. I mean, you don't make that decision to turn John Cena heel if you don't plan on capitalizing on it and seeing what you can get out of it. Because like Ian was touching on, I think there is an interesting story to come from Cody Rhodes losing the title. Because that's been Cody's identity for the past year. That was one of the greatest stories when he beat Roman Reigns, in my opinion. I didn't think he was going to lose at 39. He did. But it ended up making a bigger moment at 40. Now let's see what happens when he's fighting behind the 8-ball. He's not QB1, and he's got the deck stacked against him. Because like you said, you're going to have The Rock, you're going to have Travis Scott, you're going to have John Cena. And who could be joining that group? I don't know. But you said it perfectly, Aaron. And Ian, I'm going to agree with you as well. John Cena is breaking Ric Flair's record, which he deserves, by the way, guys, because Ric Flair, most of those titles that they are counting weren't even in WWE. Let's be real. John Cena deserves to be the guy at the top with the most reigns, and who knows? Maybe he'll face Randy Orton at Backlash, because if you saw the poster, Randy Orton's right there in the middle. And oh yeah, that show's happening in St. Louis, I think. So that would be the perfect storm. Which, by the way, we didn't even touch on Randy Orton. We might as well do that unless you guys have something to add here.
I don't.
No, I mean
John Cena wins.
It's the culmination story of like John Cena had to do the ultimate opposite of what he has done his entire career to get to that 17th title and to win that 17th title. He had to completely devalue everything that he stood for to get to that championship, get that moment, and to win that championship. So yeah, I think we're all on the same page here.
Fair enough. So let's talk about then Randy Orton, because obviously he won't be having that match with Kevin Owens, unfortunately, which, by the way, speedy recovery, 2KO. Neck injuries are a serious thing, so fuck everybody in the Chicago crowd that was actually booing Kevin Owens while he was cutting that promo, because there was heavy boos when Kevin Owens said that he's going to miss time because of a neck injury. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Then again, it's the same people that boo Charlotte Flair, and those guys are idiots. But nonetheless, Randy Orton versus who? There's a lot of potential opponents here, Aaron. You have Nick Aldis, who is a former NWA champion in his own right. Like, he has a credible track record. He is a great professional wrestler. It would make sense. But you also have names like Jeff Cobb, who just recently signed with WWE. You have Rusev, who just recently re-signed with WWE, which was really interesting that the Rusev signing news broke the same day the KO injury news broke. Just a little tidbit there for you. And also Aleister Black is coming to WWE. So how do you see this whole Randy Orton thing shaking out?
I mean, they could always go the route of what Rollins basically did, and Randy's just out there, and they introduce somebody. They might save Black for the Raw after Mania. I mean, he's the only one they've been hinting at, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
On SmackDown they have, yes.
Okay, is he the only one? Like Rusev, they haven't said, there's been no hit. So, okay, so Aleister Black he's on his way. Now, do they do the Cody Rhodes Rollins thing where Randy's out there and all of a sudden Aleister Black's music hits and they go at it? Or do they save that for the Raw after Mania? I'll ask you this because I actually don't know, but let's say Randy does have a match versus a random show up. There's no way Randy wins against Rusev or Aleister Black. There's no way, right? Because how do you have any of those guys
Randy
come
has
back?
to win.
So, see, I'm the opposite. I think there's no way he wins.
Well, he's on like I said, he's on the poster for the next PLE. That's my thinking. Like, the whole story with Kevin Owens, hear me out, is that he was going to kick his head off. That was the story. And I think Randy Orton was going to hit that punt and defeat Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. So if he was going to beat KO, you're telling me he's not going to beat whoever they have for him here?
Well, then, so we could kind of maybe come to a common ground here. Then I don't think he has a match at WrestleMania,
Maybe
because
not.
then there's no loss. I just don't know how you can bring Rusev back or Aleister Black back or whoever back just to lose. Like what does that do? Like, what does that do for you to gain any sort of momentum? Oh, here's my triumphant return back to WWE, and albeit it's Randy Orton, but I lost. And then it's like, okay, well, great. So I don't think anybody wins there. So then in my mind, if Randy's going to have a big part in Backlash, then you just don't have him face anybody, or it's nothing. Like, it's like some rando that's
Squashes
in
all
WWE,
this.
right? Yeah, something like that.
I mean, we haven't even
be
thought
my
about
guess.
Solo Sikoa. Like, Solo Sikoa was hinted at last week. That could be a possibility. It's not exciting, Ian, but what are your thoughts on this?
First off, I just want to address AO over there. They did it with Andrade. He lost a lot when he came back. I don't.
Mania? Like, surprise return?
I agree. I just think this whole surprise kind of entrant has been brought up onto a pedestal because of Cody, obviously, Cody and Seth. I see this more as you have to work with the talent you have. As much as I would love to see Aleister Black's entrance, I completely forgot about the little videos that they've been doing on SmackDown, which have obviously been about Aleister Black. They have plans for him. Rusev does not make a lick of sense going against Randy Orton, and as you were saying, probably most likely winning. My mind immediately goes to, okay, who do we have on the table in WWE that doesn't have a match, that have kind of been on the downward spiral, and it's not one person for me. I would like to see the Wyatt Six return.
Oh, and just take Randy out?
Get involved, take Randy out. You could go down that path. Like you said, I haven't really...
Not bad.
I haven't gone back to the whole Backlash thing as much as I would love to see Randy and John Cena. Again, we've said the whole, he's on the poster beforehand. Yeah. We've said that before. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I would love for that to happen, by the way. But I think there's something to say and something to tell with the Wyatt Six versus Randy Orton.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Ian. That would be cool. I don't know if it's going to happen. Realistically, if you were to tell me or give me a prediction, I'm going to say he's facing Nick Aldis. I think it'd be a cool
100%.
moment for Nick Aldis. Maybe people are going to shit on it, but I think it would be kind of cool to see that go down. And then after that, maybe you debut someone. Maybe somebody is there to defend Nick Aldis, because at the end of the day, Nick Aldis is still their general manager. Maybe Aleister Black is coming in since he's new and he was just signed by Nick Aldis, and he just fades the Black Randy Orton at the end. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just fantasy booking, like I said.
If Aleister Black's coming back, he needs to be a heel. I think he
100%.
Absolutely he takes out Nick Aldis. I think
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It would be kind of like the Aleister Black versus Cody Rhodes that they were doing in AEW when he took out. Oh shit, who did he kick? Oh no,
I forgot. Yeah, was it Anthony Ogogo? I don't know. Remember
Possibly?
that name? I don't know.
Oh god,
it was a long time ago.
Brutal.
But hey, shout out to AEW though. They made history today. They're the longest tenured wrestling show on the Turner Network, so shout out to them. That's going on in the background right now. We'll probably go catch up on it, but that is the full WrestleMania card, guys. It took us an hour and a half, but we got through it. We did a deep dive, which we love to do that for our PLE predictions, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. But let's get to the part of the show where we award the MVM title, and what the MVM title is: Most Valuable Mark, the person that is commenting, giving us quality comments and questions, and just being a good person in the chat. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new MVM for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, and it is Mr. Eric Douglas, who not just is going to WrestleMania, but has his birthday on Sunday. So, yeah, round of applause indeed, Ian. He earned it tonight.
Yeah, happy birthday, first of all. This was not a birthday gift. You did earn it. You were a great commentator. You did drive a lot of the conversations, which was awesome. Yeah. That is the number one, at least in my brain. That's who wins the MVM, is who drives the conversation in the chat And sir, you did yourself, Eric Douglas. Congratulations. Have a good time this weekend. As we said before, don't spend too much money, but also spend money. Have fun.
And also check out Drew McIntyre's video. He'll tell you what not to do and what to do WrestleMania weekend. You got to look at it on X. But Aaron,
I haven't seen that.
Where's your overall excitement? Because I know you're not as diehard as we are for WrestleMania, but at the end of the day, it is WrestleMania.
I think both your main events have all the cinema you can ask for. I think even without the builds, I think the women are going to steal the show. I think they're going to kill it. I mean, that triple threat, and I think Tiffany and Charlotte are going to be awesome. I think people are going to be relatively surprised by how many good matches there are. Like, even if there's zero interest in like AJ Styles and Logan Paul, that match is still going to bang. I mean, it's still going to be awesome. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. And like I've said before, the way that WWE is now, you can never be so sure about what's going to happen. And I think we're going to see some twists. And it's gonna be great. I mean, WrestleMania rarely ever doesn't deliver, and I think with Triple H at the helm, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, listen, the last two WrestleManias have been fantastic. 39 and 40 knocked it out of the park, and maybe that's why a lot of people's excitement levels aren't matching the previous years, just because the build hasn't been as hot. But like you said, Aaron, regardless, I still think we're gonna have some great matches. Ian, any final remarks before we sign off for episode 242?
No, it's going to be a great weekend of wrestling. A lot of content to come out, not just from WWE, but from us as well, and the Main Event Wrestling Network. So if you are able to catch one of the three mixers, as you can see over here, we didn't even talk about NXT Stand and Deliver,
right.
Which there was a lot of wrestling to digest this weekend. So please, if you would love to support the channel, you could go to our website, buy some merch, support us directly, or you could just go and tune into the mixers.
Yeah, and we will be live Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's not just WWE going on this weekend. If you are out in Las Vegas, I say it all the time, support independent wrestling, because that is the lifeblood of this business, and you will have a great time if you are out there. But Aaron, once again, it was a pleasure. I appreciate you filling in, even though Tucky and Erica couldn't make it. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.